it's Niarah and welcome back to another video with Nursing with Niarah. Today we're going to be talking about my journey to nursing school and how I navigated nursing at Spelman. Today I have a special guest with us, my Spelman sister and CWS major sister. And so we both got into two of the best programs in the country and around, the world for nursing after Spelman. And so we really just wanted to do this video because we've had a lot of people approach the both of us asking like, oh, you went to Spelman, you're doing nursing, how does that work? How do I navigate this? And so I thought it would be great to have us both on here to share this information with you guys.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Virshauna. I was a graduate of Spelman College in December of 2019. I'll be starting nursing school in the fall. And yeah, basically what Niarah said, we really just wanted to do this video because we've been getting a lot of questions from current Spelman students, but also prospective Spelman students on how we ended up doing nursing while we were at a school that doesn't have a BSN track.
Yeah, and so I also want to say before we get into it that this advice could also work for my non-traditional students who are at a school that doesn't have a traditional, like Virshauna said, 4-year BSN program, or want to do, or maybe they didn't get into their nursing program at the school that they applied to and want to do nursing in the future, like we're doing. So just keep that in mind. So to start off, we both started as health science majors when we came into Spelman because that was the major that was supposed to be for pre-nursing students. We ended up switching our major, and we talk about that in much more detail in our podcast, Nursing Your Soul, which is so cute. It's a great podcast. If you want to listen, we are on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and many
other places where you can listen to podcasts.
And many other platforms. But we switched our major to women's studies, and that is honestly the best major at Spelman for pre-nursing, period. If you want to be another major at Spelman and you want to do nursing, that's perfectly fine. But the way women's studies works and how it's very interdisciplinary worked for us having to take so many prerequisite courses to get into nursing school. So if I'm talking to a incoming first year student, I would say be a women's studies major. If you want to be a psych major and you want to be a mental health nurse practitioner after, I say that makes sense. But you also have to know that psych is not that women's studies isn't demanding, but that psych is very their course sequence is very packed and they're not as interdisciplinary, so it's going to be harder to weave in your prerequisite courses.
Before we go any further, I just want to say that we are not college advisors. We are not healthcare advisors. We are not anything associated with a college or university. We're just solely speaking on our experience. So take everything we say with a grain of salt because we are not healthcare.
Yeah, definitely consult your advisor if you're coming into Spelman. Definitely consult your advisor to double check that this is okay. But I know there's not a lot of information on Spelman's website about pre-nursing, and that's the whole reason why we're doing this video, because there was nothing for us. And
not a breadcrumb, nothing.
So we really wanted to provide a space and a video for people to go to use as a reference. Of course, now they have really great pre-health advisors for pre-nursing students and an interest group that you can join to help, but just use this as supplemental information.
And back to the interest group, because I got a DM from somebody that wanted to join the group. from what I understand, the group is only open to you as a student. So once you're a student at Spelman, you declare that you're pre-nursing, then you're invited into the group. It isn't something that we can just put
Yeah,
a bunch of people in, because at that point we would have thousands of people in the group.
exactly. So we're also going to talk about the partnerships and like pipeline programs that Spelman has. So we have about 4 programs. There's the Rush program, which is a Master's of Science of Nursing program. Augusta is, I also believe, is a Master's of Science of Nursing program, MSN. You have Rochester, which is in New York, and Emory, which are both ABSN programs. And Emory has a 3-2 program at Spelman. So, you go to Spelman for 3 years and you do the 2 years at Emory to get your bachelor's of science of nursing. Realistically, I mean, there's not a lot of students who participate in the 3 2-year program because everybody wants to stay at Spelman for 4 years. So, I don't know if Virshauna, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I definitely want to say that the Rush and the Augusta program, they're master's programs for non-nurses. So basically what that means is that a non-nurse is someone who's seeking a nursing degree but doesn't have prior nursing experience. So me and Niarah will be considered non-nursing students because our bachelor's degree was in something else besides nursing. Back to the Emory program. So a lot of questions about the Emory program that I received were, oh, have you done it? Do you know anybody that's done it? Can you explain it to me? And based on what I know from working in the office and from just being a prospective student, the 3-2 program, the 3 years at Spelman, you're focused on the health science major at Spelman. So you can't come in and say, I want to do the 3-2 program under psychology, because that's not how the affiliation works. Like Niarah said, it's 3 years at Spelman, so you're cramming 4 years of a very heavy science-based major into 3, and then you would go to Emory for the 2 years to get your bachelor's of science in nursing. So at the end of the 5 years, you're going to have 2 bachelor's degrees. You're going to have a bachelor's of science in health science from Spelman College, and then you're going to have a bachelor's of science in nursing from Emory. Also, like Niarah said, we haven't seen anybody that's done the Emory program, and that can be for 1 or 2 reasons, maybe 3. They don't want to go to Emory. They don't want to just limit themselves to Emory. They want to stay at Spelman for 4 years, or they feel like they can't complete the heavy science requirement in 3 years.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the 3-2 program, you're taking 21 credits for more than 1 semester, and it's very heavy. It's a very heavy course load, and being a health science major, it's already a heavy course load. Like, we came in taking 18 credits as first year students. So
crazy to even think about.
Which is very crazy.
And still living, but I mean.
So I definitely think there's a lot of options. The school that I'm going to wasn't a part of like the partnership pipeline program with Spelman, but they do have a lot of like nursing schools that come in. For example, Johns Hopkins, they have University of Pennsylvania come in. You have
all of the schools on this list.
All the schools that we just mentioned. I think there was also another school. I can't remember, but Duke. They have. Oh, Duke, yes, Duke, which is also another bachelor's program. It honestly depends if you want another bachelor's, but like I said before, Virshauna and I are both going into master's programs, and to me it really does not make sense to get another bachelor's when you can get a master's for the same amount of time and money, but it's up to you.
It's really up to personal preference.
Yeah. And so also, if we go into talking about like prerequisites, so it's very important to know what school you want to go to. And if you just have those 4 schools on your list, that's fine. But if you want, like, let's say you live in California and you want to go to a nursing school in California, you need to know all of your prerequisites. So if you go back to my video, it's called So You Want to Be a Nurse, I talk about the core 7. And the core 7 are all of the pretty much all of the prerequisites that you need to take for nursing school. Each nursing school differs on, you know, the minimum grade that you need to have and the like 1 or 2 prerequisites depending on where you go. But this is like, it's imperative to know what prerequisites you have to take, because
Literally. Like
that's
life or death.
yeah, like that's how you plan your course sequence throughout the time you're at Spelman. And so, you know, if you like my advice for first year students is going into Spelman, you need to know, like,
You need to have
my
some
past
type of list. It doesn't
yeah,
have to be a definite list, but some type of list. And just so we can clarify the questions, we'll be showing a list that I had so that you can kind of see and get the gist of maybe what you want your list to look like. And like we said, the list does not have to be definite when you go in, but just making sure that you have some type of options. My list changed a lot throughout the time that I was in school.
and I would say we're both like very organized people, and that's also imperative. Like we are, like, honestly, we're spreadsheet queens. Okay. You have to have a spreadsheet. It's not going to work if you don't have a spreadsheet. And I also talk about this in one of my other videos, how to stay organized as a pre-nursing student, advice for pre-nursing students. Spreadsheet, spreadsheet, spreadsheet. Like it's just not going to work if you don't plan out your courses in advance. And that's what really helped us in the health science major, because we had to have like course sequences written out.
You weren't registering for the next semester if you didn't have
Yeah.
one.
So very detailed course sequence plans. And that's what really helped us. And that's what we've taken like through to our new major and to nursing school, eventually to nursing school in the fall. So I don't know, Virshauna, do you want to share your spreadsheet
Hold on.
that she's had? Additionally, while she pulls that up, I also offer a service with my academic coaching services where I will compile a spreadsheet for you based on like what my current clients have asked. I've given them a spreadsheet that says like the schools that they're interested in, all of the prerequisites that they have to take, tuition, the GPA requirements, things of that nature. Everything you see right here on Virshauna's spreadsheet are things that you need to have when applying to schools.
So I can kind of go through it a little bit. So in the top, this is just me being extra. I have my name. Of course, I blacked out my last name, but if you know it, then you know it. I blocked out my GPA for privacy reasons. And then I also made a key for myself. So anything that was bolded meant that the prerequisite was completed. By the way, this is an old nursing sheet. It did look different than this, but for the purpose of the video, I kind of switched it up for explanation purposes. So in the top, we have school, location, program type, GPA requirement, prerequisites, and then NCLEX pass rate. I would say really focus on location if you know that you're going to be moving to another state, because moving to another state, that is a whole nother set of responsibilities in itself. So for example, I have my school. So on here, you see the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Duke University, University of Illinois at Chicago, School of Nursing, Mennonite College School of Nursing, and Loyola School of Nursing. That's all the tongue twister. I am from Chicago, so I kind of mixed up my list with schools here in state, schools out of state, and then schools that were just a little bit closer but still out of state. Program type. So at the time I had majority ABSN programs because I had not seen the light yet. I don't think I have not one MSN program on here, but like I said, this list changed a lot throughout school. GPA requirements. I feel like it's important to know the GPA requirements for your program, because clearly from the spreadsheet, all of the GPA requirements are different. University of Wisconsin-Madison wants a 2.75, but somebody like Duke wants a 3.0, and somebody like Mennonite College School of Nursing, they only want a 2.0. And then over here to prerequisites. So these prerequisites are pulled directly from the school's website. So I literally searched up every school. I searched up the admissions requirements, and usually there's a subsection that says prerequisites, and they will literally tell you what they want verbatim and how they want it. So
in what grade?
yeah, what grade you need to have. I didn't put that because I really wasn't worried about my grades. I knew that I had more than the minimum requirement for grades. So, for example, let's try to take. I'm trying to think of what I want. I'm trying to find something that's different within each. Okay, for example, so we're going to look at University of Wisconsin-Madison, and then we're going to look at Mennonite College School of Nursing. So University of Wisconsin-Madison, off the bat, the first prerequisite I see is chemistry, 4 to 5 credits, including a lab. Usually 4 to 5 credits, that's one semester of general chemistry.
Yeah, 1 semester.
And then if we move down here to Mennonite College School of Nursing, you see fundamentals of chemistry. So, but they say they don't have a lab requirement. So those are the kind of things that you need to pay attention to. Does the school want a lab? Does the school not? Personally, if it has a lab, you usually can't do the lecture without the lab. So there's that. But also their chemistry is called fundamentals of chemistry. So once you keep digging, usually schools will have something called a course equivalency. So they'll tell you, like, this is what this course is called at our school, but this is what it may be called at other schools. You really want to pay attention to that. You really want to document that. And then, of course, hold on one second. Of course, NCLEX pass rates. So different NCLEX pass rates for different schools. University of Wisconsin-Madison had 89.2%. Duke University at the time had 100%. I think it's still 100. UIC 88. Mennonite College School of Nursing 96, and then Loyola also had 96. That's also something important to pay attention to. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely with the NCLEX. That's like I would say I would focus on that and the prerequisites the most. Because when I first started my nursing journey, I was looking at all NCLEX pass rates. And so if I saw that, like, the NCLEX pass rate was below a 90%, I was like, I don't want to go there because you're paying all this money and yeah, you have a degree, but if you can't pass the NCLEX, you won't be able to work. So it's very, very important to see how these schools are supporting their students and what their pass rate is. And I would just look for that current year. I would look like a couple years back because this is public information. Yeah, and so awesome. If they don't have it on the website, they have it on national websites. I was even calling the school being like, what is your NCLEX pass rate? No, really. And I remember a specific school was like, why do you need to know that information? And I was like, excuse me, this is public information. Yeah, cross off your list if they don't want to tell you about their NCLEX pass rate. So also speaking about prerequisites, I think that it's very important before you just go spending your money, wasting your money, taking courses, make sure that these courses will align with the top schools or the school that you really want to get into or the schools that you're applying to, because like Virshauna said, in the fine print, they will tell you what they accept and what they do not accept. And all it takes is a simple phone call or a 2-second email to verify this. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting your time taking courses that don't, align with the prerequisites that you need to take.
Yeah. A couple of more things. I see a school that's not on here. A school that I applied to, one of their requirements, what was it? One of the requirements was that you had to have human anatomy and physiology, but you had to have human anatomy and physiology. You could either choose to do anatomy and then physiology, or you can choose human anatomy and physiology part 1 and human anatomy and physiology part 2. If you chose the latter option, you had to take both parts at the same school. That's not a requirement for all schools, but that was one of the big things that I noted, and that was one of my top schools. So I had to be like, okay, I really have to pay attention to this, because if I don't, that's automatically going to mess me up. Also, back to the spreadsheet, looking at some stuff I see with UIC School of Nursing and Loyola School of Nursing. Keep in mind, same state, same city, different requirements. UIC only requires, no, I'm lying. They do general chemistry and organic chemistry with labs. Here, they require organic chemistry or chemistry for health professionals must include labs. So you really just want to pay attention to that kind of stuff. I think I'm done explaining like how to look at prereqs, but now going through how I actually did the sheet. So let's just say it's sophomore year. I'm taking chemistry, psychology, and maybe a math class, statistics. After that semester was over, I did not cross it off until I knew that I passed the class. After that semester was over, I would come back to the spreadsheet. I would bold what was already completed. I would highlight it with the orange highlighter, and I would strike through it with red, because that's how I knew, okay, this is done. And then I would just keep doing that until I was done with all my schools. And once it was time to apply, there should be no reason that you're questioning, oh, did I do this? Did I do that? Because it's already here for you.
Yeah, and I think I definitely had like a little bit of a different system. I would just highlight what I had completed, what courses were in progress, and then what courses like I had to still take, and they were like different color coded system. Whichever works best for you is great. The thing that you just really need to focus on is what is the minimum grade you are like you need to get for that class. So for example, Virshauna and I took this awful anatomy and phys class at
Like
another institution, and there's no shame in my game. I had to end up retaking it to get into the school that I wanted to get into.
And I feel like this
we
may
received
be
a
a little
C.
like anal of us, but
Yeah,
we passed the class, but it wasn't the grade that we wanted to submit
no,
to nursing school. So we were like, oh no, we're doing
yeah,
this over. And by all means, you don't have to do what we did.
no.
We are just a certain way.
Because
So
some nursing schools accept C's, right? Some other nursing schools want a B minus minimum, some want a B minimum. So when even if you're applying to schools that accept a C, schools that accept a B minus, and schools that accept a B minimum, you need to shoot for the B minimum, because when you're applying, you need to, like, you're applying to multiple schools. So you don't want to like confuse yourself and be like, oh, I'm cool with getting a C. No, you need to shoot for that A, sis.
and some schools are really like anal about anatomy and phys. I know another school that I applied to, I think it was on the spreadsheet. They wanted a C minus or better for all their prerequisites except anatomy and phys. They wanted you to have a B minus or better, or you couldn't apply.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just a lot when you're like about being organized. I think we're gonna wrap up the video here, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Virshauna or I, and just know that it is possible to be pre-nursing at Spelman, to go into nursing after Spelman. Virshauna and I are both, like I said earlier, are going to the best schools in the country, which, you know, if you know, you know, but but we're going to the best schools in the country, and you know, we have really hustled and worked super hard as pre-nursing students, when there really wasn't any support for us, and now there is programs in place to help pre-nursing students, which is great for the first years that are coming in and the students that are already at Spelman. So thank y'all for watching. If you want to connect with us, you can follow me at Niarah_hope. And
my Instagram is just my name. So at V as in Victor, IRSHAUNA. And also, you forgot to mention our podcast link will be in the description box.
Yes, all of our socials, our information for that, and our podcast link, and any other information that we mentioned will be in the description box. So thank you. If y'all have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and see you next time.
Bye.